all to another installment in the Plain Truth 12 channel. Thank you for joining me, and apologies as it has been quite some time since I've dropped a new video, and the reason being is the aim of this channel was mostly just to focus on major installments when it comes to issues pertaining to technology and to a lesser extent politics. But as I've seen this news, I couldn't help but drop a video as soon as I saw it. So this is Elon Musk. Neuralink wants to put chips in our brains, how it works and who else is doing it. Outside of the scandalous title, essentially Elon Musk's Neuralink, if you're not already aware, has finally gained FDA approval, so approval from the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. Now, if you recall from my prior videos, if you've heard in the news, Neuralink is essentially a company by Elon Musk that is and has developed a brain chip to be implanted, which will enable those with neurological and disorders or those that are paralyzed to be able to interface with computers and other forms of technology. The most popular example was demonstrated with a monkey which had the ability to, once it had the chip in its brain, had the ability to interface with, I believe it was a computer-based game of ping pong, and was able to control the device with thoughts. So, jumping right into this article, Neuralink, Elon Musk's brain implant company, has won approval from the Food and Drug Administration to start testing its device in humans, one of a growing cadre of neurotech pioneers with goals of merging humans with machines to treat a range of medical conditions such as paralysis, blindness, and depression, and enhance existing abilities like memory or allow us to interact with computers by thought alone. By that statement, this is a gargantuan step in technology. So we're talking about psychological disorders, neurological disorders, and even cognitive disorders such as blindness. The extent to which this technology can go, to be honest, there is no limit on it. But yes, continuing reading on, this does lay out the development of Neuralink, but ultimately there was a certain stage where FDA approval wasn't granted, and the news was that FDA approval wasn't going to be granted because the procedure was very invasive. It required the skull and the brain to be penetrated, and then this particular chip to be inserted in the brain, and as a consequence it can result in brain damage or over bleeding and stuff, internal bleeding and stuff like that. But as we read here, it says in late May, Neuralink announced it had secured FDA approval to launch its first in-human clinical study, prior to which they were only experimenting on animals. And the issue with that is going to be elaborated on later. The decision represents an important first step that will one day allow our technology to help many people, the firm said, adding that it was the result of incredible work by the Neuralink team. The news comes after Musk, who sets notoriously optimistic timelines, has a history of prematurely celebrating success with regulators. To be honest, a man of his stature is he's owed that. His reach is quite impeccable. But to go on this section regarding Tangent, Neuralink has come under intense scrutiny over its animal research practices and is reportedly being investigated by the US Department of Agriculture for potential animal welfare violations, which the company denies. It is also reportedly the subject of a federal probe from the Department of Transport for allegedly transporting contaminated devices removed from monkeys in an unsafe manner. So as mentioned prior, the issue is the invasiveness of the technology and the procedure. And if you watch my previous video on Neuralink, you will see the extent to which how invasive it is. And when you do look at the competitors, because this market is quite, I wouldn't say it's saturated, but there are some other companies with their own procedures. When you look at how they move, especially Synchron, which did garner FDA approval prior to Neuralink, at least like a year ago, their procedure is a lot less invasive. It's almost like a tiny wire mesh miniature device where it is implanted in the brain blood vessels rather than the actual brain itself. So as a consequence, it gathered FDA approval. It got FDA approval a lot quicker. So yeah, this is big news for the technology. And many people are quite apprehensive, but and when you even look in this, this is an important point that I mentioned a couple videos ago that many other people are looking at. Somewhat the ethical issue regarding the technology. But let's read the subheading on crucial quote. Used also believes there is an urgent need for regulation and ethical discussion for neurotech. The threat largely comes from the companies developing non-implantable devices or brain-computer interfaces that are treated more like consumer electronics. Use said rather than implantable devices from the likes of Neuralink, which are treated as medical devices and are governed by strict medical ethics and robust regulations. Chile is the first country to enshrine protection for brain activity and its information and should serve an example for the rest of the world. You said the brain is not just another organ. He explained, adding that neuroscientists are increasingly able to decode brain activity and use that information for research and in the clinic. Mental privacy is the sanctuary of our minds and should be protected at a global level. So this ethical issue is going to develop further, but I believe they're a bit too slow. The technology is moving faster than the ethical debate allows for conversation. They are 10 years too slow, unfortunately. But as it states here, it's not clear when the trials will begin. It's more a case of they've gained FDA approval, so they're going to start helping people with paralysis, vision loss, hearing loss, inability to speak, psychological post-traumatic stress disorder, and those type of situations. But yes, this is Neuralink. Finally gotten some news after quite a bit of time, but I'm sure Elon Musk is well pleased, as indicated by the picture there. But thank you for joining me on another episode of the Plain Truth 12 channel. As much as I'm aware, going forward, I'll let you guys know as well. But thank you for joining me. But keep an eye on this. This is our future, especially going forward to 2030. Thank you and have a good day.